Hey guys, this is Mark. In this video, I will introduce one of the new features we released in Backendless, which is integration with Zapier. If I could describe that feature with just one word, it would be awesome, because the possibilities that that integration provides are just limitless. Absolutely fantastic work done by our development team. Of course, I will show you a demo of how it works. If you're not familiar with Zapier, it is a platform that includes integrations with something like 2,000 different services, and it works with a very basic principle where you can specify a condition, which is called a trigger, and then for that condition you can specify one or more actions. So very basic if, then, else type of construct where triggers and actions could be any kind of services that are available within Zapier. And then Backendless can be on both sides. It could be on the side of a trigger and on the side of the action. So for instance, if you want to migrate data from a Google spreadsheet, then the trigger is going to be when the new record shows up in Google Sheet, then you will migrate that data into Backendless. The best part is all of these workflows can be done without any coding. It's 100% visual setup where you can set up triggers and actions and then some additional checks. You can do practically very complex workflows with no or minimal coding. You can actually inject coding right into various actions supported by Zapier. The setup is very simple. It really works out of the box. Whenever you start setting up a Zap, and Zaps are those workflows that exist in Zapier. So you literally add Backendless, and then you can start using Backendless triggers, or you use any other service and then use whatever triggers are supported by that service and just start wiring it together. Any magic that is required on the Backendless side is completely automatic. You do not even need to do anything special on the Backendless side. Of course, if you were to do some things with a database, like for instance, in Backendless, whenever a new object is added to the database, or if it is updated or deleted, you can use those as triggers for other things to happen. Some other things that you can do, for instance, you can create users on the fly. So for instance, when a new lead appears in Salesforce and you want to create a user in Backendless, no problem then. The Salesforce would be the trigger, and then user registration is going to be the actual action in Backendless. You can flip it around, and when new user registers in your application and you want to do some other things, no problem. User registration is going to be the trigger in Zapier. And then once that user registered, you can just notify in Slack or send an email, whatever makes sense within your application. The number of services in Zapier is huge. I believe it is 2,000, and they constantly add more and more services. People actually add their own services and go through the process of registering them with Zapier, just like we did. And that really creates a huge platform that is just full of so many possibilities. And the fact that you can do it without coding is absolutely phenomenal. So here I will jump to my screen, and I will just work through setting up one of the workflows to demonstrate how it works. It is available now. Backendless integration with Zapier is in beta, and that's just how the process of getting services into Zapier works. At some point, it will progress into production. So whenever you add Backendless now, or at the time when we recorded this video, there will be a little beta tag on it, and at some point it will just disappear. It's going to be just Backendless service that is out of beta. Anyway, let's move into the demo part, and so you can see exactly how it works. We'd love to hear from you. So if you created something with Zapier, please let us know. And it's very easy to reach back to us. You can do it either via email, info@backendless.com. We have a Slack channel. We have a support forum. Please write back. Let us know how it worked out. If you can think of any improvements, we are listening. Now, as I said, let's just jump into the demonstration so I can show you how it works. To demonstrate Zapier integration, I will connect Airtable with Backendless. When a new record is created in Airtable, through Zapier, it will go into Backendless and will end up in the Backendless database. What I have on my screen is the Zapier dashboard, and in here you can start creating your workflows. And as you can see, you can connect an app that you specify here with an app that goes in here. So let's just go ahead and get started. The app that I will be connecting will be Airtable. And you just search for your app, select it from the drop down, and then it will be Backendless on this side. So here is Backendless. And as you can see, you can select a trigger, and these triggers are going to be whatever Airtable supports. And in here, it will be new or updated record. And then the action will be to save new object. In fact, to be more precise, let's say it is going to be new record in Airtable, and it's going to be new object in Backendless. Let's just click try it. And that goes into the actual configuration of your workflow. So the configuration is fairly intuitive, and I will walk you through the entire process. So first of all, you will need to create accounts in Zapier for your services, for the apps that you have included into the workflow. And since this is a brand new account that I created in Zapier, I don't have any account information stored. So now we will need to connect both Airtable and Backendless to Zapier. Click on sign in to Airtable, and you will see this pop-up where you will need to enter API key for your Zapier account. I'll move this to the side, go to my Airtable, and in Airtable, if you go to your account and then select account, in here you will see this field that gives you that API key. So copy that API key, return to that pop-up, put in the API key, click yes, continue. And then back in Zapier, the Airtable is connected, click continue. And then in here you can set up the triggers. The Airtable base that I will use is going to be product catalog. And in here I have the table called clients. So that's the table where I will be creating new records. So let's select that base, product catalog, and then the table will be clients. Click refresh fields. It is important. It's going to fetch a record. Click continue. You can test this trigger. And it fetches one of the records. You can actually select which one. If they're different, you just need to pick the one that is the most representative. And in here, it basically fetches data from this table. The columns that we want to migrate to Backendless, let's say it's going to be name, billing address, and maybe one of the URLs for the photos of the space. And as you can see, these fields are URL, then we have billing address and name. Click continue. And this has completed the setup of the Airtable part of the Zap. Now, for Backendless, the action is save object. Click continue. And then we will need to sign in to Backendless. To sign in to Backendless, this will be exactly the same credentials that you use to log in to Backendless console. So in here, I have this Backendless application. So whatever you use to sign in to Backendless, that's what you will need to specify in that pop-up that you get there. And this will be my account. So now it has signed in to Backendless. Click continue. And then select the application that you want to work with. You may have multiple. In my case, I created an application called Airtable Data. And then choose the table that you want to, where the data is going to be stored. In my Backendless application, since this is a brand new application, I don't have any tables. Let's go ahead and create a table called clients. It's going to be exactly the same table as it exists in Airtable. By the way, the name is irrelevant. You can call it whatever you want. Click create. And let's set up the schema. So we know it's going to be URL. name and address. Exactly the same columns that exist in Airtable. All right, so now the schema is there. You can actually see this is going to be our table called clients. And let's go back to Zapier. And since at the time when we connected Backendless, the table was not there, what you can do is click load more, and it will refetch all the tables. And so now we have this table called clients. And as you can see, it recognized the names of the columns. So for URL, we want to map it to the URL property, which will be, could be this, you just specify. So here's the full URL that will go into the URL field. Name, it will be name. And then for address, again, show all properties. Scroll down, and here it is, billing address. So that sets up the mapping between Airtable and Backendless. You can also you also need to specify the API key that will be used by Zapier to communicate with Backendless, and it's completely up to you which one to specify. It's going to be mostly a decision from the security perspective, because you may assign specific roles to the specific permissions to the roles associated with these API keys. Let's pick REST. So at this point, the mapping has been set up. Click Continue. And we can test this action, which will basically grab one record from Airtable. The Zapier will grab one record from the Airtable and will send that object to Backendless. So let's do test and review. So the object has been sent to Backendless. If we go to Backendless and then into Data Browser, as you can see, here's this record that came from Airtable and now is in Backendless. But that was just a test. So now we can turn on the Zap. So now if we go to My Zaps, you will see that that Zap is here in a list of Zaps. And at this point, if we go to Airtable and let's create a new record and say no coders are us, and put some address in here. And then for the picture, let's just pick a picture. Let's just drop it right into here. So it's uploading the picture. And if you think that you will instantly get this record in Backendless, you actually would be wrong. For the reason that Airtable does not automatically sync to Zapier. For instance, with Backendless, you do get that automatic syncing. As soon as, if you were to use Backendless as the trigger and create a new record in Backendless, Zapier would be notified in real time. Not with Airtable. So with Airtable, you could be creating these records, and then in order to sync that to Backendless, if you go to Zapier and run Zap, here it is. It found one record, it triggered that Zap, and then the object is now in Backendless. And as you can see, here it is, 555 Main Street, no coders are us, and here's the URL of that image. So as you can see, that integration is working, although it is not as real-time for the reason that Airtable to Zapier integration is not real-time. Let's create something different where Backendless is the trigger, and for instance, Google Sheet document is going to be the action. So as new objects are created in Backendless, they are migrated into Google Sheet. So let's create a new Zap. And it will be Backendless. And the trigger event will be, for instance, user registered. So as new users are registered, they will end up in Google Sheets. So user registered, click continue, select the account that you may have multiple Backendless accounts. Right now I have one, the one that I created for Airtable. Click continue, select the application. Let's just continue using the same Airtable data application in Backendless. Test trigger. So there are no users. That's right, there are no users in this application. So in here, if we go to the users table in our app in Backendless, let's just create one new user. And let's call it test@backendless.com. Test user, set up password. So now there is this test user. Go back to Zapier and then test trigger. It will find that user. Here it is. The user has been found. Click continue. All right, so now there is actually Google Sheets right here. So let's select Google Sheets, and then the event will be create spreadsheet row. Click continue. So we'll need to sign to Google Sheets, and I will use one of my accounts. Grant access. All right, so here it is, Google Sheets. Click continue. Drive, my Google Drive, spreadsheet. All right, so there are plenty of spreadsheets here. Let me just create one in my account. And I will call Zapier integration. All right, so now it is in here. Go back to Zapier and then click under worksheet, load more. Oh, actually spreadsheet. I'm gonna click load more and search for Zapier integration. So here's that spreadsheet. The worksheet is going to be the default one. So for this, we will go to the spreadsheet and add some columns such as name and email address. Go back to Zapier and click refresh fields. Now we have name and email address. And let's just map the data that we got from Backendless to, and actually there is another one which is last login that I noticed. Last login. We can refresh fields. Here's last login and map that last login. Click continue and we can test this action. So now if we go in here, you see that there is this data that I have entered in Backendless automatically showed up in that Google Sheet. So now we can turn on the Zap and then go to My Zaps. So now the Zap is in place. In order for this to work, users must be creating using the API, meaning that if you were to create users using Backendless console, it will not be instant. For that instant integration to work, you need to use APIs. And then for the APIs, you can actually use Postman integration or just from your application. If it uses Backendless user registration API, that will be sufficient. To call that API manually, you can use Run API in Postman. So if you click on your name in Backendless console and select Run API in Postman, just open Postman, and in here it will automatically import Backendless collection. In Backendless collection, locate user service API, select user registration, and in the body, let's just specify the data that we will be for the user that will be registering. So for instance, it will be foobar@backendless.com, some super secret password, and the name will be Zapier tester. Make sure to select your environment. It will also be created for you by Backendless. Whenever you use Postman integration from Backendless, click send. So that registered the user. If you go to Backendless, you will see that this foobar@backendless.com is there. And now in the spreadsheet, as you can see, this record was automatically created. If you go back to Zapier, you see that it says that this Zap is instant. In fact, the instant is on the Backendless side, meaning that whenever something occurs, the trigger will be instant and the Zapier will be notified instantaneously. So there you go. We have two different zaps that we created, one going into Backendless from Airtable and the other going from Backendless into Google Sheets. And as you can see, the amount of code that we had to write was 0. Everything is done graphically. You configure the forms, you configure triggers and actions, and in fact, you can actually have multiple actions configured in Zapier. Extremely powerful platform, especially considering the amount of different apps registered in Zapier, and you can connect Backendless now to a variety of different services, create some fantastic integrations. I do hope you found this useful. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope you are just as excited about possibilities that this creates as we are. Thanks again, guys, and as always, happy coding.